engines roar. Hot days and summer nights, finish line in the sights. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be sparks flying, rubber burning, doors banging, temperatures rising. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be hot days and summer nights, finish line in the sights. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be sparks flying, rubber burning, doors banging, temperatures rising. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. They're gonna roll. Ooh, they're gonna roll.
RaceKraft V8 Vets continues live on SimSpeed TV with round 3, the Thunder Valley 150 from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We've had some really thrilling racing at some of Australia's greatest venues so far this season. Now we roll on to Mid-Ohio. David Haynes here with Brock Cadday, Daniel Yeaman bringing you production as we look forward to 150 kilometres of supercars racing, Brock.
Good evening, everybody, and yes, excited to be back again for round 3 now of this V8 Vets Season 23 at Mid-Ohio. This isn't a track I've got a lot of experience at, but it is one of the scary ones you can race on iRacing in high-powered, under-gripped cars like the big banger supercars. So I think we're in for an exciting one tonight.
On my way to Mid-Ohio is the only time I've seen Amish people with their horse-drawn buggy on the road. So there's a bit of that around here in this part of Ohio towards Pennsylvania. This is the racetrack. A lot of interesting historical facts. It used to be a fair bit shorter and a fair bit quicker as well. This is the modern layout. Super fast sweeping turn 1. Banked undulating turn 2. Fastest straight is through the turn 3 kink and into the braking zone at turn 4 China Beach. And the track sort of changes direction, folds back and forth in on each other, and create some great side-by-side racing through that sequence of corners 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the track drops away on the exit of 9 into Thunder Valley turns 10 and 11. And the carousel is bumpy. It's been reprofiled in the real world, in fact, to make it a little bit less bumpy. And then turn 13 can be near enough flat out onto the pit straight, and all of it sub 4 kilometres.
It's got a lot of character, this track, and I think that the one thing we can see here is that while it looks relatively flat from above in this satellite image, once you actually get out there, as you were mentioning, David, it's undulating, it's hard, it's got different surfaces. You've really got to plan your overtakes here. You know, you talked about turn 1, turn 2 and turn 4 there. They're probably your best overtaking opportunities. It's really one line and tight through the middle of the circuit. So these guys will have their work cut out for them here. It is, I mean, I say this about Bathurst as well last week, but this is a real driver's track. You've got to manhandle the thing all the way through this lap to get every last tenth out of it. I think we're in for an exciting one, and see if anybody can take it to Jordan Ross. He's been pretty dominant these first 2 rounds.
Yep. So let's look at the standings where Jordan Ross is on top after, as you say, a dominant couple of rounds. He's ahead of Darren Lobb, Ken Latta. Mike Taliancic drops a couple of spots after a challenging Bathurst. And David Nash, Justin McLean, Christian Smart, Dean Flavel, Wayne Walker, Stephen Kennedy, Stephen Banks, and Jonathan Gallen. 12 drivers complete our top 10. Make of that as you will. 3 drivers tied in 10th, with a few of them jumping up based on their results at Mount Panorama. This is without any drop rounds counted yet. As we work through the season, we'll begin to count 1 and then 2 towards the end of the year. Jordan Ross has picked up plenty as we've gone. He's left maybe 1 or 2 bonus points out on the table. There's lots of little ways to grab a bonus point or 2: fastest lap, 0 incidents, joining the Zoom call, etc. But all of those sort of only worth 1 or 2 points. Jordan Ross, by taking 2 wins, is up top.
Yeah, definitely putting himself in a strong position there with these 2 wins where he just looked relaxed and in control of the race from the get-go. But in saying that, we have seen some excellent battling between the likes of Darren Lobb, Ken Latta. As you said, Taliancic, a bit of a tough week last week, but I'm sure he'll come firing back this week. Wayne Walker was in the wars a bit last week too, but was showing some good pace. So I think we've got some guys. There'll be a bit of a shake-up in the standings again, because we're seeing some great racing out there. And I think there are some cars that, with a tough second round, we haven't seen the best out of them just yet. Probably a shout out to Christian Smart and Justin McLean, even Stephen Kennedy and Stephen Banks, some big movers after that round 2, keeping it clean and moving through the field as well to get themselves into that top 10/12.
So it's the Thunder Valley 150, 152 kilometres, 42 laps around here. 75% to be a classified finisher is 32 laps. Starting fuel is quite low. That's something to note. At 50 litres, we've had some of the other starting setups be 80 litres in the car, and the refill capacity capped to 70% as well. So the cars are going to be pretty light around Mid-Ohio through most parts of the race, you'd think. Typical fuel burn there. Total fuel drop across the race, somewhere in 70 to 77 litres. But as always, there are 2 compulsory pit stops, with the CPS window opening at the end of lap 2, asterisks, terms and conditions apply. Past results are not a reliable indicator of future performance. Consult your doctor, etc., etc. But the critical lap window for the second stop looks to be around lap 10 or 11. We've got another graph here. I guess initially you look at this and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but when Brock Cadday explains it, it'll make all the sense in the world.
Oh, geez, throwing me in the deep end there, Dave. So we've got our early stops, our even stints, and our late stops. So look, that early stop there is basically taking advantage of when that CPS window opens on lap 2. Then you're coming in again for your second stop and final stop at lap 10 when you hit that critical lap number. That there is what we would typically call in the motorsport world a big old undercut, trying to get some track position, trying to get some fresh air to then leapfrog the guys in front. But then obviously the tyres do drop off towards the end there. Your even strategies are splitting the race into nice even thirds, and that late stop, you lengthen that first stint a little bit just to try and get some more out of it, maybe overcut some guys if you can get some clear air, then stop a bit later than everyone else with those fresh tyres to get to the end. And we usually see a mishmash of all 3 of these strategies throughout the field, depending on where, if we have some fast guys down the back, they might try something a bit differently. Safety car comes out, who knows, there's a million different variables we can go into. Dave, I think I've covered it all right.
Not bad, not bad. I tried to throw you under the bus, but you've gone and bench pressed the whole bus. Well done, Brock the Hulk Cadday. Yeah, somewhere that teal strategy is probably going to be the most valuable, but as always, it depends on safety car timing. Sometimes what looks like a good strategy, leaves you a little exposed if there's going to be a safety car, and that red line strategy, well, if there's a safety car lap 5 or lap 7, it can put you in a really, really box seat, something we've commonly called the Long Beach situation at any racetrack that looks like it has a high chance of safety car, like in fact the street circuit of Mount Panorama was a week ago. So a little bit of a change to how some of the things are officiated to try to encourage or indeed enforce clean driving in the RaceKraft V8 Vets Championship. So points, penalties, and the license system and post-race penalties all changing somewhat according to what you see there. Oh, and this is who's got some.
So a few guys in a bit of hot water there. We've seen Tim Nicol over the last couple of races has had some real rotten results, so he'll be hoping to change that fortune. Mark Point and Chad Lewis as well with 12 and 10 points there, and the rest with a smattering of license points on there. If we can keep it clean tonight, hopefully nobody will add too much to their total out there.
Tim Nicol, I think, got 2 drive-throughs last round, something like that. It was, I'd say, uncharacteristic from him, and he'll obviously, with this in mind, need to tread carefully for the rest of the season. And so with 15, Tim Nicol has a pit lane start today, apparently. So we spoke about the bonus points, one of them for the Zoom wall. Let's take a look at our Zoom wall of drivers for tonight. Got most of our returning favourites here, Brock.
Yep, we've got Stuart
Hang
up
on.
in the corner there.
What's Travis Hunt got?
Travis Hunt, is that a cheeky bevo before we... looks like it might be a coffee to keep him awake. It's hard to see here. Yeah, we hit the nail on the head there, Travis. Good man, that'll keep you nice and pumped up.
A little espresso, perhaps.
Perhaps a macchiato.
A Travissimo.
And now some gum to make sure the coffee flavour doesn't get too much in the way. He's got to focus
no
now.
littering.
He'll pick it up after I've heard from a source.
Okay, good. Run us through the rest of them.
So we've got Stacey Boyd, who's been one of our return. We've got the Dino for Dean Flavel. The heart rate already at 93, looking to burn some serious calories again tonight. Jonathan Gallen there. David Kirby. We've got Sharpie, Ken Latta, Christian Smart, and Chad Lewis down there too. So a few of the guys we can check in with as the night goes on, and particularly when you're in the heat of battle, it's always fun to see how they handle it differently.
You've got to imagine with peppermint gum and a short, strong coffee, Travis Hunt has very unique breath right now. That's probably what the twitch of the nose is for. He can smell it himself. We love Michael Stewart's wall there with the greatest racing tracks in the world. And the question is always, is one of the tracks we're at one of the greatest racing tracks in the world? And I'd say you and Dan Yeaman were running off some of the history and the national and indeed sometimes international series that have been here. Surely Mid-Ohio is one of the greatest and most important racetracks in the world.
I think you've got to put it up there. I mean, we were just talking beforehand, IndyCar is the premier open wheel series in the US, races there, and then you've still got IMSA makes appearances there, and I think the Michelin Pilot Series is part of IMSA. So some of the most top-level racing in the Americas still happens at Mid-Ohio, and it really is one of those tracks that's a spectacle to watch, and there's a reason that it's still on all those calendars these many, many years later through its different iterations.
So from a week ago, the Chubby Bunsberger's driver of the day, as voted by me, Brock, and Dan Yeaman. There's a button that the producer is going to click. It was Dan Hall, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. He had an excellent race, kept his nose clean, and I think ended up coming home fourth in the race. Really took advantage of some of the incidents that happened, raced clean, defended hard, and brought home an excellent result on the day.
Momentarily, we'll get to the grid and see how he's qualified for tonight at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. As I said, there are a few key overtaking opportunities, and looking, Dan Hall looks to be down in 19th, but it'll be curious to see if he can work his way through today.
Indeed, it will be 150 kilometres ahead of us for the RaceKraft V8 Vets Championship. Round 3 from Mid-Ohio. The grid is locked in. They're going to be forming up in just a second, and in surprise of all surprises, it is going to be Jordan Ross in the pole position. Darren Lobb's qualified really well. He's a big fan of the Ford Mustang, so that's your front row. Jordan Ross and Darren Lobb. Ken Latta and Troy Stonestreet are on the next row. There are 41 drivers who've set qualifying times. Now, we're told that one of them's going to have to start from pit lane potentially.
So just taking another look at this race info here, 42 lap race, 150 kilometres in Thunder Valley. Must complete the 75%, 32 laps to be classified in official results and score points. That is finishing at the end of the race with 32 laps under your name. Starting fuel of 50 litres. You got that refuel capacity of 70%, 93.1 over the course of the race. Total fuel to add, as you mentioned earlier, David, 70 to 77 litres. So these guys will be running light and wispy cars all race long. It'll be a little bit loose in the rear end, but nice and fast out there. 2 compulsory pit stops. As we said, opens end of lap 2. Conditions apply. Don't rely on previous results to set your strategy. Critical lap for second stop is 10 to 11, and we did look at those stops earlier as well. The early, mid, and late stops. So there'll be a number of strategies between the 41 cars we've got out there who have set qualifying laps.
What are you really gambling with? Asks the strategy situation. So as we ran through, this is the grid. New livery for Darren Lobb. He starts just fractionally behind championship leader Jordan Ross. Ken Latta and Troy Stonestreet just behind them on row number 2. Dean Logsdale and John Latham on the 3rd row. Then it was Luke Allman and Scott Mackay. Wayne Walker and Travis Hunt round out that top 10. And there's Mike Taliancic, Stephen Grumley, David Kirby and Dean Flavel the next row behind. Logan Barnett and Stewie Hall. Top half of the field is Justin McLean, Michael Whiting, Mark Poynton and Chris Miller.
And then from 21st on, we've got Chad Lewis and John Gallen, Michael Stewart and Stacey Boyd, 2 of our Zoom Wall participators, Stephen Banks and Wayne Sanderson. Who we got next here? David Nash and Christopher Burridge, followed by Bruce Tannock and Matty Parker, down to 30th place now. 31st, Greg Sharp, and then Jamie McKnight in 32nd. Stephen Kennedy, Dan Hall. There you go, Dan Hall down in 34th there, so long way for him to go. Brad Doble, Gary Buckland, Christian Smart, Blake Delaney, Scott McCune, Darren Goosey, and Robert Griffiths finish off your 41 car field here, 43 car, excuse me, and
they're going
off and racing in the background there. So we told
great
them
getaway, Jordan Ross. Darren Lobb not getting away particularly well from the outside line, and he gets squeezed a little bit through turn 1. It's Ken Latta who moves up into 2nd place. Unique Apex guarding the pit exit lane there for turn 1, just underneath the bridge, and then breaking into the keyhole. It's still cold tyres for all, including Luke Allman, who gets sideways. Troy Stonestreet is super sideways in the keyhole as well.
Yeah, no spinners just yet, but they're racing hard out there already as we're 2x2x2. There's some smoke in the background there as well. We're going to look here and see Stone Street. We've got someone off here as well. Stewie Hall has gone all the way down to the back, but looks like he's back going again.
Oh, and there's some
Oi!
drama. Justin McLean and Troy Stonestreet backwards into the beach. There's another 9.5 car off there as well. Street Hall's got some dramas as well. Logan Barnett is struggling to rejoin, so I wonder if he's got some damage or if he's just waiting for the whole field here. Troy Stonestreet almost looks like he's not going anywhere. Like he might have high-sided the car on the curb there, bringing all sorts of dirt and rubbish back onto the racetrack. It's an old classic circuit, but it can be a little bit tight in places. I think we've just seen that.
Absolutely, and I can hear in the background the race control channel is blowing up at the moment with people reporting incidents. The interesting one was Stonestreet. He was up in that top 5 battling and was a part of that biff and barge at turn 2. So definitely going to be something to look back at. But we're now looking back at the leader of Jordan Ross as he's coming around to starting lap number 2 here. Nice little tight battle pack here. Ladder and Lob right up behind him. That's your top 3 in the championship as well there. 1, 2 and 3 in this race. They're keeping it nice and calm. They're getting into their rhythm. I can't say that much for some of the back of the field.
So Gainers, after 1 lap, is on the left-hand side of the screen. Latter up a spot. Logsdale up 1. Scott Mackay up 2. Dan Hall up 12. He's going to do it again. Qualify better, my man. But he is up 12 positions and he's into 22nd here. In the Evolution Racing Team Ford Mustang. Bruce Tannock ahead of him in 19th. Pretty tidy this time around, but that first lap was chaos at the keyhole, chaos down the straight and in towards the braking zone as well. Biggest stop on the racetrack, and we saw quite a few cars making a reverse entry into the corner.
Yeah, until we know what's going on there, it's hard to say if it's locked brakes or biff and barge or a little bit of both, but this pack is still tightly together here on track as they all still figure themselves out, get the cars warm, the tyres warm. Chris Miller in the 666 car is now going to drive through penalty as Jordan Ross sets the fastest lap. It is all going on at the moment. Lap 3 now, it looks like they've all sorted themselves out into single file, as we've also got David Nash in the pit lane too and Damien Cairns.
Yeah, so in at least some of these cases, it looks very tactical, and if they think a safety car could come, getting your first stop done now is a way to do it. So you can see all that's happening across there. So winding back the tape, there's Chris Miller in purple. Here's Stewie Hall. We look at him. Well, you can see the holes in the fence for the photographers who hopefully stood back. Maybe Miller gets it a bit out of shape here.
I think he gets a bit loose.
He does.
Yeah. An unfortunate one that, like, obviously it's just a mistake from Miller, but it's still, at the end of the day, that drive-through's come because he's turfed into him and put him in the wall. So unfortunate to see, but Miller will come out the other side and keep on racing. Not sure about the victim in that one.
Oh, it's McLean. The shot that got his teammate. Justin McLean looks like he's had a big lock-up and got into the braking zone super deep there. I don't think anyone helped him in or helped him around. I think he's gone and helped his teammate. This is the onboard from McLean. He's got Grumley just in front. He pulls to the inside. Everyone else is braking and he's just a bit late, a bit locked up and a bit... breaking the #1 rule.
Yeah, look, motorsports doesn't have a very big Bible, but right at the very front is exactly that. There's now we're looking at Troy Stonestreet. So he was involved here. He's locked up and he's just gone straight off. So no one's helped him there, and he's gone from 4th all the way down to now 42nd. That's a very costly mistake, as we see the aftermath of that McLean incident as well.
He actually stalls it on the rejoin. You saw the emergency lights come on the back. So the big gains through the field are, of course, balanced by a couple of big losses and a couple of early stoppers. No stop yet for your race leader. Jordan Ross, the championship leader, denoted by the orange car numbers, leads 2 seconds over Ken Latter, beginning to feel a tiny bit of pressure. Darren Lobb's getaway was really slow from the standing start, but I think his race pace and his 1 lap pace is clearly quite strong. What he's done is just got the bike point all out of whack for the standing start.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, we saw this last week as well. I believe it was Ladder and Lob who were attached to the hip for part of the Bathurst race. These guys know how to race fairly and get it done. But Lob, he's shown some really good pace in the first 2 rounds, and it's a shame he missed that bite point, but he didn't lose too much on it, and he's really keeping Ladder honest at the moment and making sure he doesn't run away too much, as Jordan Ross has extended that gap now to 2.2 seconds. As we have Dean Logsdale will now cop a points penalty for a level 1 incident with Stone Street on lap 1. Sorry, lap 1, not level 1, excuse me. Lap 1 incident with Stone Street. So yeah, Troy's really in the wars.
You might be the type of person who says GG in person, Brock, if you're reading that as level 1.
I'm too much of a gamer, I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Just totally gamer on all of that. So only a few drivers have pitted to this point, tactically best we can tell. David Nash, Jamie McKnight, Damien Cairns, a couple there. This is the look at Ken Latter. Wonder if he's washed that towel since last week.
I don't want to think about it. It's pretty.
If it's anything like my towels, the answer is I'll say yes, but maybe it hasn't.
I think we're really trying to out him here on this coverage as he's battling for second place. I hope he hasn't got us in his ears right now. We could be bloody distracting. I don't know how Travis Hunt does it with us in his ears, but he's looking back to Ladder. He's looking very focused as he takes on turn 2 now. So he's trying, I reckon, he's trying to drive just ahead, look ahead, but you can't help but look back every so often and just see Lob there, hunting, looking, just trying to find a way by. I think he's got a little bit of space there behind him, but as we've seen in the last couple of races, Lob will not let you go too far and will keep that pressure up all race long if he has to.
There's the mirror, and there, just appearing in it, Darren Lob. These two still seem to be getting away from the rest, though, so a bit of a gap between them and Logsdale. You've got Jordan Ross, an ever-extending gap, then second and third here, and Logsdale leading the group in 4th. There's John Latham, Scott Mackay there, just a couple of car lengths further back. Luke Allman maybe putting some pressure on him. Mike Talyancic is +2. Remember, he's one of the drivers who tumbled the most after round 2 in the championship points.
Yeah, it's good to see Mike having a better start to this race. Of course, at Bathurst, he spun out, I think it was on lap 1 or 2, and went all the way down the back of the pack and never really recovered. A hard thing to do at Bathurst as well. So great to see him back on form after a second place in Sebring, and now working his way through the pack already and right up close to the guys in front there. That would be Wayne Walker. But we're looking at Logsdale and Lath at the moment. It looks, from Logsdale down, we've kind of just got this little battle pack here developing for that battle for 4th. Oh, as he gets a snap of oversteer there, with more pit stops also happening in the background. Blake Delaney and Christopher Burridge both in. So a lot of guys taking this sort of early to mid stop opportunity at the moment.
Just a little bit of opposite log. I've done Scott Mackay dropping back a tiny bit from those two, even Dean Logsdale lighting it up sideways, so he's got Luke Allman right in behind him. Wayne Walker's got Mike Talyancic right in behind him. Travis Hunt still in the 10th place where he started with his coffee and gum. David Kirby, Stephen Grumley, Mark Poynton completing this pack of cars. The Dino leads a group in 14th. Michael Whiting, Chad Lewis, John Gallen and Michael Stewart. So there is a group of drivers where we've got an onboard or two as well. It was pretty catastrophic at Bathurst for the Frog Leap juiced guys, if I recall.
Yeah, a lot of them in the wars and getting involved in some of those. We had a couple of big incidents last week, and I think they were just the victims in that. So really looking for some retribution, get some points back, hopefully not get involved in any incidents. But looking here, Michael Whiting is looking very racy on Dean Flavel, and I'm sure the heart rate is through the roof on the Dino Dyno at the moment, because Whiting is giving him some Morse code. We're up at 110, 111, he's on the limiter. Oh my goodness, Dean, take a couple of breaths, mate. Whiting's going to go to the inside here and try and make this happen down to the turn 4, and he's through. 113 on the Dino
113.
Dino.
It's the most committed heart rate in Australian motorsport here with the Dino Dino, and for good reason. There's still more pressure on him as well, with Chad Lewis trying to climb all over him. And then Michael Stewart and John Gallen have also gained a couple of spots, and they're right in behind the Dino Dino. But it's Whiting. He just looked like he could break deep and still turn really comfortably through the keyhole. Anyone who's driven here any car knows that the track it drops away and then it comes back to you through the keyhole. A lot of racing cars will sort of take a really big double apex through there. Doesn't seem like that's what Whiting did. Seems like he just hugged the curb the whole way round and had a lot of bite from doing that. And moved up one spot. David Kirby pits from in front of these guys, so they all move up another spot again.
And I'm sure they'll take it. A free spot's a good one, but it might come back to bite a bit later on when the pit cycle comes around. But you're exactly right with Michael Whiting, and I think we saw Dean there just make the smart decision. He thought there's no point fighting this. He's just going to lose more positions, so he relinquished it, focus on his fight now with the guys behind, Chad Lewis, John Gallen and Michael Stewart as well in this battle pack, and live to fight another day. So Chad Lewis is looking pretty racy. Dino's his heart rate hasn't come down too much. He's still on the limiter as we're coming now into turn 4, where that move happened last lap, but it looks like it's settled down. He's gotten into his rhythm, which is exactly what he would have wanted. If he fought that position with Whiting, he could have lost even more out of that going offline.
Logan Barnett has had a problem and disconnected and is now rejoining, so he's going to probably drop almost all the way to the back.
Yeah, unfortunate with things like that.
Look at the dyno now.
Oh!
Far out. Almost touching 120.
Oh, into the pits. So that's now, I think that's Whiting and Lewis have now both come in, and Dean has... He will fly off and continue racing, but these guys have decided, particularly Lewis, to try and get that jump with that undercut we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and a reminder, only starting with 50 litres of fuel anyway. Pit lane speed limit here at Mid-Ohio is 72 kilometres an hour, and these are some pretty quick stops. We're no stranger to seeing sort of 30-second stops occasionally, but there's a pretty short on fuel, get a change of tyres, stops, particularly for Whiting, just 11 seconds compared to 18 for Wayne Walker, almost 20 for Chad Lewis. That's a really aggressive attempt at an undercut from Michael Whiting. And the podium positions now 4.5 seconds adrift of Jordan Ross. Darren Lobb is turning up the heat on Ken Latta, as we've got to imagine that even our leading drivers are headed to their first pit stop in not too long.
Yeah. I'd say so, and we're just hearing in our ear that it said 17 to 18 laps maximum, and that's if you're doing some fuel saving. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think either of these guys are fuel saving at the moment.
Jordan Ross is in from the lead.
In pit lane.
That's
leader is in now.
Different. That's very different to how he's done it beforehand. So previous times he's stayed out front for a long time, but he's going to be one of the first to blink, and early.
You're exactly right. We've just seen him run, because he's out front, run the fuel tank dry and then come in, do the tyres, fuel and go again. But Stephen Grumley, Dean Flavel and John Gallen, Flavel and Gallen reacting to the likes of Whiting and Lewis pitting last lap. But that now puts Latta and Lobb in the lead in this tight tussle for not only on-track position but championship position between the two of them.
This is the blend after the pit stop for Jordan Ross. This is often why you don't stop early, because he is right back in and amongst the traffic, just in front of Sean McNamara, perhaps, I think it is. No, I might have that wrong. Justin McLean. And then, I don't think they're going to fight him too hard. It's got Gary Buckland just in front. Darren Goosey just in behind. And from a fair chunk back, Jordan Ross will get down the inside and clear that quickly.
Yeah, but you're exactly right, David. he's put himself back in his pack, and that's the hard part of this, is that even trying to overtake cars, you're offline, you're a bit slower because you don't want to hit the other guy. This is all taking time off him when you've got the likes of Ladder and Lob. Like, while I know he had 4.5 seconds on them, this is all bleeding time the more he gets caught up in these cars. So doing what to cut through at the moment, but yeah, interesting to see the strategy change, considering round 1 and 2 were pretty simple for him. But we'll keep an eye on this as it goes on, as we're now looking back at 20th and 21st duking it out, as Stacey Boyd also comes into the pits now.
So it seemed like a few of them reacted to David Kirby. Maybe a few of them will react to Jordan Ross. But for the meantime, Ken Latter leads the race, and there's a bonus point for leading a lap, and Ken Latter is going to get it. Darren Lobb might like to get it. Jordan Ross is going to continue to try to clear his way through this traffic of his own design, going past Scott McCune.
Yeah, now he's got a bit of clear air up in front of him, so actually quite a bit of clear air there. So he'll be able to get the leg, sort of stretch the legs out here and get some couple of good hot laps in, as it'll be curious to keep an eye on that sort of top 2 and when they come in now, because if he's been released, then that means the pace is back up again. So currently sitting now in 13th, but obviously that'll all change when the cars in front all decide to come in and do their pit stop.
On the track map there was your race leader Ken Latter, and then Jordan Ross 22 seconds behind him, and the next highest running car that has stopped, forgive me, Wayne Walker in 19th, who's quite a bit behind Jordan Ross. Of course, Jordan Ross bolted out to that lead and has had a pretty quick stop.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We're seeing some guys a bit further in the pack doing 19, 20-second stops, so presumably putting on as much fuel as they can, whereas others splitting that fuel load between the 2 stops fairly evenly, and that seems to be what Jordan has done here. And actually, reeling in his opponent up the road there quite quickly in Christian Smart. Christian Smart, who is up 25 positions at the moment as we roll through these pit cycles, so that's a pretty number. We'll see what happens when everything rolls out where he's done, but Christian's been one of our biggest movers this season.
There's the track map again. Ken Latter is in the bottom. Jordan Ross going down the back straight, and Wayne Walker just exiting turn 2, the keyhole.
And Wayne Walker looks to have a bit of fresh air around him as well, so that's a good thing for him to be able to put in some good laps here on fresher tyres, while Ladder and Lob continue to battle it out at the front there, as Jordan Ross has just nabbed himself another position now, up into 12th spot past Christian Smart. Christian making it pretty easy knowing this isn't his fight, as Ladder's in.
And so Scott Mackay and Luke Allman, there's a couple more of them, and over the next 4 laps we expect all of the remaining drivers, of which there's only about 10. I think about 30 of 40 drivers have already made their first stop, looking for fresh tyres, looking to add some fuel, looking to not get caught the wrong side of a safety car. There's some dramas for Brad Doble, facing backwards. He's being turned around in a super awkward spot here, blind over the crest. He's just waiting on the traffic.
Slow-mo flick spin.
So he's battling through there at turn 4 over the crest with Wayne Sanderson. Yeah. Have a look here. So Doble's trying to pass Sanderson, gets down the inside of turn 4, most of the way down the inside of turn 4. Are they almost clear? Ooh. I think you got to close that off earlier if you're Doble, but I think Sanderson's then also made contact again and made it worse, as he was maybe trying to straighten him out.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. That corner there. I mean, we talked about the weirdness of the corners here and how some of it's quite a tight track, and that's a tight corner over a hill. And I think it's just a clumsy one there. So, but as we always say, we'll leave that to race control to deliberate and let them figure that one out. But we've got Taliancic and Travis Hunt fighting for what is third and fourth on the track at the moment. Still have not taken their pit stop, these guys, but really duking it out hard at the moment, and pretty much by the looks of it, running that sort of late stop strategy, run the thing till it's empty, and then come in, as we've got Logsdale, Smart, Goosey and McLean all in pit lane as well. So this field is nearly cleansed of our pit stoppers.
And then we'll just spend the whole middle portion of the race dissecting who's taken how much fuel, who's going to have a quick final stop, and maybe jump up the order, because there is some variation between 23 seconds of fuel for David Kirby versus 11 seconds of fuel for Michael Whiting, and how that could play out at any subsequent stops. So between Taliancic and Travis Hunt, Tally's gotten past him in the last couple of laps, but not with a great abundance of spare pace to leave Travis Hunt in the dust.
No, and
reckon it's a new piece of gum?
I was thinking the coffee and gum strategy. I think it's paying off for him right now, because he's sticking with Taliancic here, and perhaps that's why he can continue to go a bit further, is if you're in behind the car with a couple of these long straights, you can save quite well. So the fuel drop is a big part of this, and you can save time if you have to put less in, as Michael Stewart now comes in from 5th position into the pits. I did just notice a couple of our cars have had these 30-second pit stops, so they're fairly long compared to the 12 to 20-second ones we're seeing, so worth keeping an eye on that as the night goes on. But Hunt is he's wrestling the thing on these 16-lap old tyres, trying to keep it straight, but still Taliancic can't run away.
Timing column shuffling around as a few of the drivers complete their stops and look to rejoin. And as these drivers carry on, it's just 4 that haven't stopped. Darren Lobb, John Latham, Mike Taliancic and Travis Hunt. The lap times are still looking pretty competitive from everyone. I'm not seeing a great deal of tyre drop-off, as is typical with RaceKraft V8 Vets. It's a pretty cool track temperature as well, that in theory aids the tyre life. Not too much wind either. When the wind comes from the north off the lake in winter, that's when Ohio is at its least inhabitable, as separate from the other 9 months of the year where it's partially habitable.
And it looks like we've got Latham in now. Yeah, Lobb's times, he's only a couple of tenths off his best lap of the whole race at the moment on these old tyres, so he seems to be faring quite well. But now that leaves us with just 3 cars. That's Darren Lobb, Mike Taliancic and Travis Hunt, who have not pitted just yet. So interesting strategy for these guys, but what it's going to do is it's going to really shorten that back end of the race for them and give them some fresher tyres, and it'll all be about that fuel dump. And as you said, will be the Scafie and Crompo of the V8 Vets broadcast trying to pick that all apart when we've got the numbers.
Of course, to do that, we're going to have to start referring to strategy as coming from bunkers.
I'm okay with that. That half of these drivers with their setups they've got, they look like they're in bunkers. They're all in their seats that wrap around them and everything. They look mighty comfy.
How's the winged headrest for Travis Hunt? Far out. Like, it makes him look like he's got a really small head.
Of all the things you could have said, David, that was not the one I was expecting. I was thinking it makes him look like a pro race driver. No, it makes him look like he's got a little head. I hope he's not still listening, because we could really be distracting him from his driving efforts out there.
Darren Lobb pits now in his attempt to overcut Ken Latta for second place, or maybe even overcut Jordan Ross. We did see Ross catch a little bit of traffic. If Ross lost 3 or 4 seconds to all of that, could put him in a slightly compromised position in the mid-phase of the race, as Mike Taliancic and Travis Hunt also join him for, as we say, a cleansed field.
Again, I think another Scafie and Crompo quote, that one that I've taken as my own. But Wayne Sanderson got a drive-through penalty for the lap 13 incident, not level 13, with Doble there. So kind of as we suspected, with that one being a bit clumsy. So looks like Taliancic might have jumped. So, excuse me, no, he didn't jump. Taliancic has come out in front of Travis Hunt there. Lobb is behind them. But Lob also had a near on 30-second stop. So he might have chosen to take on a heap of fuel and make that second stop really short. So we'll see how that goes, particularly with the tyre drop-off. There's a bit of strategy in maybe running these tyres to the end.
Oh, and then he's had a massive lock-up after that long stop. Darren Lobb through the gravel at turn 2, losing yet more positions side by side with Chad Lewis heading towards the turn 3 kink, the biggest braking zone at turn 4. And Lobb is probably going to have to be a bit cautious. The mistake that he just had in the last braking zone. Wow. So long stop. Locks up at turn 2. Ouch.
Yeah, and Ross is back out front at the moment, but he had a fairly short stop, but others around him did. So Ross actually has a 10.3 second lead at the moment, which is quite a significant lead. So we're looking at the last pit stop lap here, and really most of these guys, lap 11, 14, 15, 10 and 10 for the top 5, they're all fairly similar. The ones we're looking at are your John Latham, Travis Hunt, Taliancic, these guys that pitted really late to come through, but Lob really not helping himself with that lock-up, already putting a bit of hurt on those tyres nice and early in this stint, and trying to battle his way back through, but stuck in behind Stephen Banks at the moment in 15th. For Lob, excuse me, I've just seen the figure down there. Thank you very much, Mr. Yeaman. Estimated fuel still required is 0 to 7 litres. So he's taken a long stop. Now, he will keep in mind still have to do that second compulsory pit stop, but it'll be a splash and dash, probably no tyres, which could really benefit him and drag him back up through this field a bit later in the race.
Super left of field strategy compared to what everyone else has done. Here's Mike Taliancic with Mark Poynton, John Latham, and yes, Travis Hunt. Poynton, the biggest mover in this group, plus 11 positions. He's had a little bit of an undercut on a few of these, I think. We were briefly looking at last pit stop lap on the timing column as well, which gives you an idea.
This will give us a good look at who's done quite a bit of time in the pits. So we can see that it's really interesting to see the difference in times. Like Michael Whiting, for example, 11 seconds, by far the smallest number in the pits. So he's going to have a big one. Even the likes of Jordan Ross and Wayne Walker will, Jordan Ross and Kenneth Latta at the front there, they'll have big ones. Looks like the going rate was around that 20-second mark, seemed to be the most popular. So Lob at 30 seconds has definitely taken on a lot more than most of the field.
Now in behind Stephen Banks to the keyhole, so the track drops away there, and then it sort of rises back up to get you at the exit of the corner. And so the grip levels change, a variable, as you go through and sort of rise the crest.
It's one of the most challenging things with this type of car, the supercar around here, is we're on board with Michael Stewart now with his VR set up at the greatest racing tracks in the world.
He's got the red dot. It's centre left.
Oh, he does. You're very right up there. He's a good guy. He lets us know where the track is. And to our conversation earlier, Mid-Ohio is in fact one of the greatest racing tracks in the world, and this poster proves it. So we were correct in saying that. Yeah,
in between VIR, Summit Point, Pocono?
That is Pocono.
Indianapolis, Road America, Watkins Glen, Willow Springs on there as well, Laguna Seca. Plenty of interesting ones. Oh, Daytona, Sebring, a couple that I've been to.
I think at this point, David, they're starting to build the schedule off of tracks that you've visited, so you can give us the tidbits that build the narrative around the track.
Somehow I still haven't been to Sandown. Lob's just having a bit of a battle trying to get around Stephen Banks, who's giving him nothing easy and nothing for free, so they're side by side, but Lob seems to have the best of the traction. Oh, comes across and gets a little touch for it.
Oh, this is dicey. I mean, you've got to know in racing when when to sort of play self-preservation and when to battle, and that one there, I guess, just trying to put Lob off a little bit, but clearly had that speed, as we know. So he's now going to fire off into the distance here. We've got Dan Hall up 15 now, so he's up another few positions since we last checked in with the great Dean Flavel, or Dino Dino, in behind him. Bit of a change of pace there. Bit of a change of pace there for Dean, who is now, instead of being the hunted, is the hunter on Dan Hall, and Dan's looking to, I think he's really looking to try and be our Chubby Bunners driver of the day again.
Can't give out awards for bad qualifying. You've got to give out awards for good racing. So we need to see more.
Heart rate's still pretty high there. Dino's locked in. And burning plenty of calories there. That's gone up about 400 since the start of the race. So I really think I need to start sim racing more, and I can give up the gym. But we look in here now. So looking back from Dan Hall, as we look at Dean Flavel behind him there. Dean's actually tried an alternate line, didn't quite work out. So Dan's got a bit of breathing room now. As we see Chris Miller's come in for his pit stop. Now he's a bit out of sequence because he's had a drive through as well, so he's way down the pack there. But yes, you're very right. We give out the Chubby Buns driver of the day for great racing, and Dan's we need at least plus 20 with some great overtakes, and maybe he'll make the cut this week. It's a cutthroat world, this driver of the day award, but seems to be holding his own there with the setup down below for him with that big JRT timing screen, just like we're looking at the moment. Thank you, David, for offering yours to me to use, and that triple screen setup with the blankers in there to make it nice and seamless. So a setup that makes me jealous, much like most of these guys.
And apparently my IP address hasn't changed since last week, so that's good to know.
It was a nice surprise for me too.
Fantastic. Dino Dino going up and down a little bit. So we've got down about 100, now it's back up. Elsewhere through the field, Rich Tannick, Darren Goosey, Scott McCune heading towards the keyhole.
This is good. I love looking through the field because these guys, one of the things I love about V8 Vets and watching and commentating on them over these last few weeks, as we look now, speaking of, I was going to say hard battling all the way through the field, Lob is continuing to make his way through at the moment. So I believe this is with David Kirby. Yes, indeed it is, side by side. My goodness, boys. This is excellent racing through this tight, winding, undulating section of Mid-Ohio that we talked about earlier in the broadcast. But looks like Lob's going to get this one done here. Another position made up. That'll put him up into 14th now. And he's actually got a nice little gap now up to the back of David Nash. So some clear air to really use those fresh tyres and continue to hopefully build a bit of an advantage coming on his alternate strategy. But through he goes now to start his lap 24. As Chad Lewis, we've now got in the pit lane as well.
Yeah, past the halfway point of the race already, and he's going for his second stop. One of the first drivers to stop the first time around will be one of the first drivers to stop for the second time. The other drivers who've done that, I think, are Christopher Burridge and Chris Miller. Yeah. This is Taljancic moving further up through the field, and this time into 6th place ahead of Luke Allman.
Yep. Taljancic showing that speed that he's got and that he didn't really get an opportunity at Bathurst to show, but there's a reason he was second in Sebring, and he knows how to wheel and deal one of these supercars, and he's raced them for years and years now. So continuing to show that he knows what he's doing, and already ranging up on the back of Whiting, who Whiting is probably a little bit out of position with a very short pit stop. So in the background there's someone getting nice and loose, but this is a battle pack that'll be interesting to see post pit stop. You'd expect Whiting to want to run away with it, but right now Taljancic is already right on his rear as Latham, hold on to it, mate. My goodness, that was some drift spec, not supercar spec racing through the last couple of turns.
Yeah, wrong Ford Mustang. Need a little bit more steering rack to pull that one off. Just managed to hold on to it through the carousel, which again is pretty slippery, pretty bumpy, sort of long and tightening right-hander.
And we've got Dean Flavel, the D-Donato, is in, and Jamie McKnight as well. So these early pit stops just starting to sort of file through now. We won't really know the answer to the question of who has the best strategy until probably past lap 30 because of these with some very late pit stoppers. Taliancic looking to go for the move in the foreground there on Michael Whiting and try and get his way up into this top 5, showing excellent pace at the moment. But we are looking on screen now at Latham here, battling it out, trying to keep this position after lighting up those rears on the previous lap, as Stone Street and Burridge have also come into the pits. So some great battling coming through to this second pit stop cycle.
A handful of drivers that by the time these second stops get done will suddenly look a whole lot better placed. David Kirby, 23 seconds in the first stop, will presumably have a pretty quick second one. Amongst the leading pack, Wayne Walker and Mike Taliancic, pretty long first stops, hopefully pretty short second stops. Now Michael Whiting's in, Scott Mackay is in. There's a few more of them with 17 laps to go, making their final pit stop. Remembering that from the very start of the race, Greg Sharp's coming in here, they started with 50 litres of fuel, which got them all about 17 laps. Well, that's the proposition that we're looking at to get home from here. If you've got about 50 litres in the car after this stop, you ought to be good to go.
That's it, and curious to see Whiting's stop, which looks like it was about a 22-second stop after an 11-second first stop. So just putting the proof in the pudding on that one. That's Lob's alternate strategy. He had a 30-second stop, so he's just about got all that fuel on board. So it'll be a splash and dash for him coming through. But Whiting now folds back out in 23rd position, of course, with a lot more to unfold with strategy.
Gary Buckland is backwards out in the grass somewhere as Justin McLean has a battle here, and Jordan Ross takes his second. That's damage. That's serious damage for Gary Buckland.
Yeah, that thing is crabbing. We're hearing Chad Lewis has also got a mechanical black flag, as we're hearing some race control chatter in the background as well. And while this is all unfolding, you've got Buckland and Lewis with damage. Ross, Ladder, Allman and Walker all in the pits taking their last pit stops. So there is a lot going on lap 27 of this Mid-Ohio Thunder Valley 150.
Chad Lewis gets the apex curb, gets sideways, has a snap one way, then the other, locks it up, and just as he gets rolling is when Gary Buckland goes to the left-hand side. So from Buckland's perspective, it's all locked up in front.
Yeah, that's a difficult one there. Obviously, Lewis is just trying to get off the track, and Buckland's thought he was a stationary object and could go around him, and it's just... well, two cars won't fit into one bit of track like that, unfortunately, for Buckland in particular coming across that incident, and still trying to make his way back to the pits at the moment.
Been dramas for Grumley, and his engine is gone. So listening to race control, it's the inside of turn 3 there, I think. Or exit of 1. Similar area, to be honest.
Here we go, we've got pit stops unfolding now for Logsdale, Latham, Hunt and Lob, anticipating a safety car coming up, I would imagine. No word yet from race control, no word yet, but certainly trying to get this out of the way. Lob will be interesting here. How long is he up on the 3 seconds on the nose? Excuse me, 4 seconds, and he's out. Oh, that was tight out of the pit exit there.
Just behind Logsdale, Wayne Walker sideways through one, nearly does exactly what Chad Lewis does. Those two are side by side and square, heading towards the keyhole. Wayne Walker is on the inside here. And now a cut back to get to the inside of Wayne Walker. Darren Lobb still alongside him.
And Lob's still on warm tyres with 4 seconds. I don't think you're getting a full set of tyres on, so he's just taking his fuel and gone, so he can battle as soon as he hits the track out there. Walker giving him little to no breathing room now, as they'll continue to go side by side through here. Careful, boys, careful. Over the hill, down into the dip, still side by side. They're getting into each other. Lob looks like he'll clear him here and take the position, and he does. And that keeps him in 5th spot, 3 spots down on where he started at the moment. With Taliancic, the only car left to pit, he has just come in now.
Taliancic taking his final stop, and one of the final stops of the race that we expect to see. Travis Hunt has been out to the grass and lost a couple of positions. And yes, Stephen Grumley, mostly out of the way there, has been towed.
Interesting. I probably would have expected Lob might have wanted to go on a bit longer with that strategy that he was running, but he's still got himself in a half-decent spot here. So he's only a few seconds behind Kenneth Ladder and a second behind Logsdale, so still well and truly in this fight for a podium and a second place. But now we're looking back at this battle pack from John Gallen for 14th down with, well, it really is a gaggle of cars at the moment. I love using that word for a bunch of cars together, but McKnight, a banged up front end, but still seems to have a bit of speed to use here. So we'll see what he can do. Banks, Mackay, Stewart, Sharp, all in this battle pack now for 14th position. Whoa.
Big send. Jamie McKnight goes in front of John Gallen, gets it wrong though. Now here comes Stephen Banks round the outside of Jamie McKnight, and truly a gaggle here. Jamie McKnight's running with just a little bit of damage there. Scott Mackay's the next car behind, Michael Stewart as well.
And
bit of teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah.
Yep, I reckon you're right there, David. Now you've got a rear gunner. A rear gunner there for Gallen in the likes of Stephen Banks in the 017. So this will be interesting to see how this goes, but this is still it's a big pack, like looking 14th down to 22nd right now is what we're looking at here. Dan Hall, who we've talked about a couple of times, in the midst of it, trying to pick up a couple more positions, up 13, but was up 15 before those pit stops. But imagine being where Dan is and just seeing this train of cars in front of you and thinking, oh my God, how do I try and clear a few of these things? And being the guy at the front and going, oh my God, how many cars are behind me?
All in brawl in the mid-pack, 14th to 24th. That's the group that you see here with all pit stops done. Darren Lobb is 4th. 2 seconds to Dean Logsdale, a further 2 seconds to Ken Ladder. Jordan Ross just seems to have everyone beat in RaceKraft V8 Vets for the moment.
Yeah, Jordan Ross's time, just looking at them, he is far and away each lap about a tenth or two faster than the rest of the field, and his best lap is a few tenths faster too. So, yeah, very much the leader here, and not slowing down anytime soon. And even looking at Ladder and Logsdale, they seem to be running away. So Darren Lobb's biggest problem now is looking behind him at the likes of this battle pack we've got on screen. Walker, Latham, Taliancic and Allman. All names that are no slouches to drive in these cars and fighting for position, and they won't care who you are, where your position is in the championship at this early stage in the championship. They just want to get extra positions and points. So it'll be great to see how this unfolds. We've seen great pace from Walker in the previous rounds too. So I say fight's on.
Chad Lewis gets a drive-through penalty for the collision there. It's just really unfortunate timing. He got sideways, so he did the lock them all up thing, and just as he's thought, okay, I've got this under control, he's let off the brake and as a begin to roll to the side of the racetrack that everyone else had picked. My number one tip for not crashing into anyone is if you aim for the rear bumper, you'll never make contact with a spinning car. because by its very nature of spinning, in half a second when you get there, where the rear bumper is now is no longer going to be where it is.
Where were you when I was doing physics in year 10 and couldn't understand it, David? That's a great rule of thumb for that one.
The rear bumper knows where it is. It knows this because it knows where the rear bumper isn't. By aiming for where the rear bumper is, it stands that you will arrive at a point where the rear bumper was but no longer is.
Someone clip that and turn that into a meme. That's too good to not be using on a regular basis.
That's just my thing, is in that case, if they're middle of the road, if you aim for behind them, that's a position they're less likely to be in a second than in front of them.
No, it's very logical, because if they're in first gear, they're just going to give it some jandle, and, well, I won't say the rest of that quote, but they'll try and go forward. So I think that is sound logic, my friend. I might need to use that the next time I jump in the sim.
Soon to be 10 laps to go for the race leader, Jordan Ross, and it's going to be 10 frantic RaceKraft V8 Vets laps of action for everyone else in the field. I think some of the early pit stops have really jumbled this field. Some of the lap 1 crashes, and indeed just some of the qualifying inconsistency as well. This is Michael Stewart and Jamie McKnight. Stewart down the inside, and there's contact between the two of them heading over the crest. McKnight does well to catch it, but look at this train. He's going to go from first class all the way back to the cattle carriages.
Yeah, that was... Oh, we got more contact here behind McKnight. Oh, no. Ah, that's just...
Parker ends up out in the grass after copping a bit of a hit check going through Thunder Valley.
You could feel that brewing, these sorts of incidents, with, as you said, 10 laps to go here. So now we're looking at a little bit further back here at Stone Street and Stewie Hall, and yet another battle pack, and Stone Street fighting back through after a great qualifying, but a really unfortunate couple of first turns for him on lap 1 there. So he's back here in 24th, trying, I think he's on the back there of actually Dean Flavel as well. So Dean has just been in it all night long, whether he's fighting to overtake someone or defending to not be overtaken. He's certainly had his hands full tonight.
A couple of other potentially underperforming drivers amongst that group, like Troy Stonestreet, who we saw run off on lap 1 and has tried to come back through the field. We're on board with Christian Smart.
And Christian was quite a ways up earlier in the piece with the strategy, so we usually expect to see him a little bit further up, as we are on board with him at the moment. He has a way of qualifying. His qualifying's never been great this season, but also has a way to race his way through, avoid incidents, and have that race pace. Tonight, unfortunately, not seeing that so much in that Fishy Motorsports car.
Is Wayne Walker with John Latham. Latham's the one on the inside. Sometimes you see a driver manage to go around the outside of there, get to the inside for the next corner. That's not going to be the case. As John Latham flexes his muscle, Mike Taliancic and Luke Allman try to buy into this now 4-way fight. Darren Lobb is slowly bidding them goodbye. Dean Logsdale is slowly catching Ken Latta as well. So I'd say a fair bit to happen, even if we've covered all of the pit stops already.
Yeah, look, Logsdale, it's a really good shout there, David. Logsdale, the last couple of laps, has been eating tenths out of Latta's margins. So Latta seems to have slowed up a bit. He's about a half a second slower at the moment than his fastest lap, whereas Logsdale is about 4 tenths faster than him. So this could be a nice little battle to the end. There you go on screen, 3.5 tenths, nearly 4 tenths, and another tenth on lap 34. So he is absolutely eating into that margin, and we might still have a battle on for second place here as Logsdale, correct me if I'm wrong, this will be his first podium of the season, won't it? so. It sounds like it will, which is a great result. But any race car driver, we all know, they all want more. They want that next position, so he will fight to the end to try and get ladder and get that second position. Make it all the more sweeter.
He's got to keep it up with 8 laps to go as well, with Darren Lobb not too far behind him, and maybe those slightly older tyres beginning to show for Darren Lobb, no longer closing the gap up to second and third as much as he initially was, although his last lap matched Logsdale, who we continue on board with. You see just the little subtle elevation changes around a couple of these corners. Lowest point to highest point is not Mount Panorama around here, but every corner you're like, just as you turn into the carousel, track drops away. Just as you turn into Keyhole, track drops away. As you turn into turn 4, it rises, and just some little bits of elevation here and there add that third dimension to the challenge of all of these corners.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's part of the beauty of this track, and likely why it's one of the greatest racetracks in the world is that it is unique. It's got these, excuse me, we've got Bruce Tannock has a drive-through penalty. Could that, I know we had this a couple of times.
He might have been the one that hit-checked Parker.
Okay. So we're just having a look back here at replay, and I think you're bang on there, David. The one who hip-checked Parker. Yeah, so that makes a bit more sense there. So pretty open and shut case on that one. But yeah, Mid-Ohio, one of the greatest. The undulation, the tight turns, the age of the track, it all just plays into it. But these guys, for the most part, have managed it pretty well and had some great side-by-side battles, which in these cars with low grip and high power, not easy to do on a tight track.
I think I saw Troy Stone Street going through for another position somewhere back there as well. A few drivers still to keep an eye on. Lap 37 of 42 in Thunder Valley, 150 for RaceKraft V8 Vets. This is the second season with the newest supercar, and you almost forget how recently we were driving around in those Gen 2 cars. It just looks so natural to be in the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro.
Oh yeah, it's great to be here with these cars, and they are absolute beasts. But as we look, sorry, just in the back on their Stone Street, Stewie Hall closed up massively on Stone Street, but then dropped off again. So I guess part of the having these unique layouts is that there are different lines and braking points to take advantage of. But Dean is handling himself well there. I don't know if I'd like to see the Dino Dyno, because I'm sure the heart rate is through the roof. There's probably a bit of smoke pouring out of his heart monitor at this point. He's cool, calm and collected. I know it says under the pump, but he's been on the limiter most of this race, so he's taken a breath, stepping back and defending quite well here for what'll be, I think, 22nd position. Yes.
Needs one of Travis Hunt's espressos. That'll bump the number up another 10 BPM or so, probably.
Oh, we're highway cruising on a Thursday night.
Yeah, it'd be Dino's yoga by the end of the race. I know a couple of Tai Chi moves. This is the battle for second place, where once again, Logsdale gets a little bit closer. Darren Lobb gets a little bit smaller in the mirrors. I think it's a two-way fight for these podium spots now.
Yeah, completely agree, David. I think Lobb, you're very right, those older tyres. He's doing well, like he's managed to drop John Latham, but I think fourth is probably the best Lobb can hope for. It was a Hail Mary of a strategy, and it probably hasn't paid off as he would have liked. But Logsdale took another 3/10 out of ladder that lap. So he's got some pace, but it's just got to be consistent now to try and get to him. And ladder looks locked in, trying to keep this second position. He worked hard for it on the start of the race. He fended off Lobb. He stuck to his strategy, but now he thought he was home free. One last challenge being thrown at you with only about 4 laps to go here once across the line.
Ken Ladder's webcam keeping us all up to date with what the latest colours are in trend in home decor. Is it, light, bright, natural colours? Is it more earthy hues and tones? Just keep an eye on what paint Ken Ladder's splashing about if you want to stay on trend. I think Ken Ladder's got to stay on trend for another couple of laps here if second place is going to be the points that he picks up, because just Logsdale just gets that 1/10 closer, just the pressure becomes subtly more, and it's 4 to go.
Yep, and Logsdale is looking a bit cleaner, a bit tighter on his race line. Like, he looks more comfortable out there at the moment as he is chasing down Ladder. Not too much difference in their tyres at the moment. Their strategies have actually been fairly similar for most of the race here, so it's all going to come down to grit and determination to get this thing done, as he looks to be a little bit closer out of turn 2 there, coming through to turn 3. And there we go, we've got the pit stop strategy down the bottom there. So Ross a little bit out of whack, as we said, but Ladder and Logsdale have just about been carbon copies of each other a lap apart, so tyres don't play into anything here. This is all just trying to wrangle these things to the finish line and see if they can come away with this podium.
Darren Lobbs just in his own little window there in 4th, and John Latham's trying to hold on to 5th. We've seen Wayne Walker and maybe even Mike Taliancic have a swing at him, with Allman along for the ride as well.
Yeah, Latham has got, again, similar situation here. All these guys are on similar age tyres, but Latham has got his hands full at the moment with Walker, Taliancic and Allman right up behind him, and I'm guessing all these guys would love to have that top 5 stat to their name for the championship, and Taliancic and Walker both from last week with a point to prove, both I believe having some pretty serious incidents. So Walker might just need to keep half an eye on his mirror here. I'm sure he would love to take it to Latham, but Taliancic is chasing him down. So we're now looking at Travis Hunt and David Kirby. It looks like Hunt is, well, not to be a little bit cheeky about it, hunting him down. And that, I reckon that Espresso is kicking at just the right time to try and sneak into the top 10.
Yeah, Hunt lost a little bit of time somewhere, I think, around the outlap of his second stop, because he was inside the top 10.
We've got Chad Lewis with an iRacing penalty now, black flag, which we've seen, I believe, is typically for incident points. So he will have to serve that now with only 3 laps to go. That'll be one that stings a bit. I mean, he did have his incident earlier with Buckland there too. So we're looking here. Hunt is trying to find a way around, and really Kirby is making that car a track width wide and not letting him through, but doing it well. So here we go, we've got both cameras here of these guys fighting it out. So this is what we love to see. Only a few tenths in it here at the moment. Kirby up 3 and in the top 10, vying to keep that top 10 position there. Hunt fighting after a struggle after his second stop to try and get back in there, as he just takes a sniff at the inside line there through the second last turn, and we're onto the main straight now with 2 to go.
Travis Hunt's pit stop was 5 seconds longer than David Kirby, but Travis Hunt's pit stop lap was 13 seconds longer. So adding all of that together, he lost 7 seconds or so on track on the outlap. Wayne Walker's got ahead of John Latham, who's now under pressure from Luke Allman, who looks like he's going to go through. Taliancic, has he dropped back a spot here, or has he just failed to progress? There's been a bit of a scrap between Wayne Walker, Luke Allman, John Latham and Mike Taliancic.
Yes, it sounds like Walker got past Latham, but then Allman's gone past both Latham and Taliancic. So there's been some wild battling going on between these guys, and it's hard to know where to look, because now Hunt and Kirby are dueling now for this top 10 position, and Hunt throws it down. He's spun him! He's spun him! Oh, they've made more contact! No, guys, no! He's redressed him. That's good, but the other guys have come from behind now, Whiting by the looks of it. Ah, man, excuse me, sorry, David Nash is coming from behind there, so just not what you want to see when you're a couple of laps from the end of this thing.
Yeah, just beginning the final lap with the race leader, Jordan Ross. It's Mark Poynton who squeaks himself into the top 10 A very, very late opportunity. An 18-second lead right now for Jordan Ross. He's averaged half a second a lap quicker than everybody else. And what's a super competitive split one of 4 for V8 Vets. I said V8 Vets and it's 4 splits for V8 Vets. So this is sort of a cream of the crop type situation, and he's head and shoulders from them as well. It's John Latham potentially running out of fuel.
Oh, it sounds like he's, we've just heard it sounds like he's on the clutch. He's trying to get this thing home, which is such a shame because he was dueling hard for that top 5 position. But now we're looking here at Kirby, Nash and Hunt, who are still in the thick of it. Jordan Ross has crossed the finish line to win the race. With Ken Latta in second, and Logsdale looks like he will come home third. Latta has held him off for that podium position, but it is certainly not over in the middle of the pack.
So there's your podium. An ambitious strategy from Darren Lobb combined with a mistake is costly to him, John Latham. This is super, super costly. He's only just managed to get up the hill on the exit of Thunder Valley, and there's a long way to go to the start-finish line. He's going to be losing an incredible amount of time and positions. So Michael Whiting goes to 8th, Mark Poynton to 9th. David Kirby gets back inside of the top 10. This is Chad Lewis. Oh.
How's this for sportsmanship? Now Lewis is he's down, he's in 39th, but he's helped Latham get across the line here, which that's what you love in this, is these blokes, they race hard. Jesus, that's a lot of cars flying by all at once, going 3 wide. We've got an incident at turn 1 at the end of the race.
Chris Miller under the bridge. I don't know what's happened for him there, but there was certainly, I wonder if there's 1 or 2 other drivers that almost coughed and spluttered out of the final corner there. It's well post-race. Dan Hall stopped on the racing line, which is perhaps a little out of form.
Yeah, this will be interesting to look at here because he's finished in 18th and he's hit the brakes, so this is all fine, but he is on that racing line and they've all come flying through and bang, bang! Oh, probably best practice is to go round onto that straight between turn 1 and 2 and park it off to the left or right.
I hate to say it, but I don't think you can park there.
Can't park there, mate. I think that is a safe assumption to make. Bit of excitement there. The race was over, so everyone kept their positions, but a few banged up cars to go back to the pits at the end of that one. Wow, what a second half of that race.
You see the shadow created by that large billboard at turn 2?
Yes, I do.
Yep. So let's get to the finishing results. Relatively chaotic 150 kilometres from Mid-Ohio. A lot of sort of early pit stops with the 2 compulsory pit stop windows. We remained safety car free. That did not mean we remained incident free. Jordan Ross put himself into some traffic early, but his pace, head and shoulders above the rest, goes to 3 consecutive wins in season 23 of RaceKraft V8 Vets. Ken Latta, good job to hold on from Dean Logsdale, who makes his first V8 Vets Split 1 podium. Darren Lobb there in 4th. Wayne Walker going up into 5th. Luke Allman also going through on Mike Talyancic and Michael Whiting and to gain a few positions. And it was John Latham who also dropped out of that top 10. And then Mark Poynton and David Kirby complete the top 10. David Nash up 16 spots into 11th. Travis Hunt finishes 12th. Stephen Banks, Jonathan Gallen, Michael Stewart, Scott Mackay, John Latham there in 17th. Daniel Hall, Damien Cairns and Jamie McKnight was the top half of the field.
And then we have Dean Flavel in 21st there, who had some great racing tonight. Troy Stonestreet, good recovery to 22nd after that traumatic first lap. Stewie Hall, 23rd. Stacey Boyd, 24th. Greg Sharp, Chris Miller, Scott McCune, Stephen Kennedy, Matty Parker, and then Justin McLean rounding out that top 30. Then we go to Darren Goosey in 31st, Bruce Tannick 32nd, Christian Smart 33rd, probably a bit lower than where we expected him to be. Christopher Burridge 34th, Brad Doble 35th, Wayne Sanderson 36th, Robert Griffiths 37th, Gary Buckland 38th, Chad Lewis, who gave the little assist to Latham to get him across the line there, in 39th, 40th Stephen Grumley, and then I believe we have Blake Delaney and Logan Barnett 41st and 42nd, but they were not finishers for this one.
Yes, indeed. Got to be 75% of the laps to be classified, which means a few of those are retirements.
Chad Lewis was the last car classified with a classy act to get Latham across the line. So, yeah, what a hectic second. The first half was, after that first lap, fairly quiet, but that second half really exploded with some great battles and some incidents as well.
Let's get towards our podium now that the racing is completed at Mid-Ohio. And third on the podium, his first split one podium and challenging for second. Dean Logsdale is very, very happy with himself.
I'm very happy, yep.
Talk us through a bit of strategy then in this shorter race. Small fuel tank, small starting fuel, a lot of early stops happening there.
Well, I set out from the start to I set my first fuel stop at 35 litres, and yeah, I just stuck to it. I knew if I was at the front, I didn't have to do anything too stupid because I had the sort of top 5 pace. So yeah, just trying to drive, not burn the tyres out, hit all the apexes, and I tried to catch up to Kenny in the last bit, so I could hang on to someone, But yeah, no, it was good.
Well, fantastic. A couple of teammates out there to support you as well. A bit of team chat happening?
No, we was pretty quiet, to be fair. I see Luke was up there, which was good. I mean, he was top 10 last season for his first season in Split 1, so had a bit of a rough start, but it's good to see him back up there and back on the pace.
And Mid-Ohio, a bit shorter than Bathurst for sure, and not as much elevation change, but a critical little bit of elevation through some of these corners that just makes a few of them blind and difficult.
Yeah, no, definitely a tough track. You had to put some laps in during the week to get it all figured out, but yeah, no, I mean, the setup was good, and the tyres did last if you if you didn't scrub them too much. But yeah, no, great track. I enjoyed it. Definitely a bit more forgiving, I think, than Bathurst, so not so much of a lottery.
And tough to spot your braking zone into turn 4 on the opening lap, by all accounts.
I judged mine okay, but yeah, I see Troy coming up the inside, and I just thought, yep, he's not stopping, so I'll let him go.
Smart move, all things considered, and you work your way from 5th on the grid to 3rd at the end of things. Congratulations, and who are you going to thank?
Yeah, just want to thank the team at AJR, so all the boys in there. Great bunch of lads, and also obviously to yourselves and all the organisers of the bets, and well done to the podium as well. It's been a great race for me.
I've got a bit of good news for you, Dean.
Okay, go for it.
You are the Chubby Buns Burgers driver of the day for round 3 at Mid-Ohio.
Oh, excellent. Well pleased. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Go well, and we'll catch you at the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Well, great race from Dean Logsdale, and he thought just towards the end there might have been one more on the menu. Ken Latta held on to that second place, though, Brock.
He did, and welcome to the comms box, Ken. Congratulations on that second place. And mate, I'd love to say it was a simple race for you. You got a great start, but you certainly had some pressure. Walk us through your start, because that's really what set up the race for you.
Oh, I felt I got the start pretty well, and then I don't know, that end of this first into second, Lob just bogged down, or he spun the wheels. I don't know what happened, but I just went past him like he was standing still. And yeah, which was really, really good because I was able to keep the position. Very difficult track to pass on as well. Probably didn't really have the race pace here, but anyway, second, I'm happy with it.
No, it's really well done, Ken. And how did you fare with some of the pressure? Because you didn't only have Darren Lobb, but you also had Dean Logsdale charging at you. Was there ever a point where you thought, one of these guys might get me towards the end of that race?
He was getting closer, but it was funny because it was like when he was getting within that 0.5, 0.6 closer, and I figured out the last sector and that last two corners, and once I figured that out, I pulled 0.2 on him on one lap, and I did it again the next lap after that, and I probably would have done it again the lap after that, and I was just like going, well, why couldn't I figure that out 40 laps ago?
Well, hey mate, you figured it out at just the right time because it kept you your second place coming through there. So what about the strategy here? Because we saw a heap of different strategies. What was your plan coming into this race, and did you manage to execute it the way you wanted to?
Yeah, I think so. The idea was just a short fill, probably a little bit on the first to try not to get caught up in too much traffic, and then take the bulk of it on the second stop.
Well done, mate. That one has worked out very well for you. And as you said, a second, yeah, really coming on strong in this. It was the third race of the season here. Before we let you go, mate, anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors, teammates?
All the guys at Fishy, Jordan, he's flying, and Logsdale. Oh my God, it's his first podium in Split 1. Well done. We're only three races in, and he's already on the podium. And he's been fast all week. So well done to him. You guys in Race Control and all our sponsors, West End Motor Group, Infinity Design, DC Shades, Battery Warehouse, Ellie Beach, Precision Sim Training. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ken. Well done again tonight, mate. We're looking forward to seeing you again next week. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Jordan Ross, you're making this a habit.
Hey guys. Yeah, it was pretty good night for the old Synergy Mustang out there, mate. Wasn't bad.
Strategy switch up, going for that early stop just to, feel the thrill of wheel-to-wheel racing again?
Nah, actually lap 11 was the critical lap number, so if there was a safety car and I hadn't pitted by then, and people behind me had I would have been stuck out there, unable to take my second compulsory pit stop and get home. So that was just to put that at ease. And if the safety car come out, it would have been sweet to get home. That's all that was.
I suppose that's one of the things you've got to try to cover off when you've started from the front and have the pace to keep them behind. What are the potential risks? And a safety car was probably one of your bigger risks then.
Yeah, like I said, just needed to cover off that, but it also was good because the car was a bit lighter, and as everyone sort of is figuring out with these cars, to run them lighter does make a bit of a difference. And towards in the middle of the fuel load, it's same old lap times everyone else, but obviously the fuel comes out of it pretty quick, and it does start to improve your lap times, and if the guys behind have put on a bit more fuel, they're still in that mid-range of the fuel run, and they're still doing the slower time, so it does make a bit of a difference.
Different thought though for your teammate Mike Taliancic, who ran 17 laps before his first stop. Coming from a bit deeper in the field, is there sort of less of a risk that you're exposed to?
I think he was just going for a bit of a Hail Mary, hoping a ball bounced his way with safety cars or something. But I did see him, and I was catching him quite quick, so I didn't think that strat was optimum. But he did what he thought was right. I don't think it was, but he'll have a look at that for next week, mate. He'll bounce back.
Well, clear championship leader at this point must be a pretty good feeling with some wins under your name before we even begin counting the drop weeks.
Yeah, it's going along all right. I think be good to see Sean come back. I think he'll be coming back in the next few weeks or something. But yeah, Darren Lobb was very fast tonight, and he just got a bad start. I think he just got stuck behind some cars from there. I'm not sure what happened, if he double upshifted or something off the start, because he seemed to get a good jump. But yeah, there's a couple of guys that are going really fast, and Wayne Walker, as we said last week, he's good, and obviously Dean tonight, first podium, so congrats to him. He did an awesome job.
And our congratulations to you, race winner again, and look forward to seeing you next time out.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And as always, thanks to the organisers of Vets and you guys and the commentators, SimSpeed and everyone for putting on this every week for us. Thanks.
We go, Jordan Ross joining us from the top step of the podium at Mid-Ohio Winners Circle, if you will. And that's the championship points now that this race is completed, with, again, always a little asterisk.
Yeah, look, interesting. Jordan Ross there, clearly far and away that top driver, but it's pretty tight now. So you got Ladder's definitely clearly got that second place, third Lob. Talienchich holds on to fourth place there with a stronger result here at Mid-Ohio than Bathurst. That's good to see. This is where it gets tight though. Nash in fifth, Wayne Walker in sixth, and it's only really 20 points separating from sixth down to 10th. Keep an eye out, Dean Logsdale into the top 10 now after that third place and his first podium, and great to hear the other podium getters shout him out there. Point in 7th, Gallen 8th, 9th, Stephen Banks 10th, Logsdale. Mackay 11th, McLean 12th, Dean Flavel 13th. Troy and Stone Street 14th, Travis Hunt 15th, Christian Smart 16th, Stephen Kennedy 17th, Chris Miller 18th, Daniel Hall 19th, and Luke Allman in 20th.
As we look through the rest of them, we look forward to next round of RaceKraft V8 Vets. You'll see it live here on SimSpeed TV. We look forward to bringing you that in a week's time. Donington Park. Does that say international or national? I'm a big fan of national at Donington Park. It eliminates 2 hairpins and keeps it pretty fast and flowing again. Another track looks plain from above, but it's a bit of elevation change. It's a pretty good track for these type of cars, to be honest.
Yeah, completely agree there. And it sounds like it'll be the Grand Prix course next week. But even then, parts of this track remind me a little bit of Sandown, just the layout and the type of turns that are presented. So very much a track not necessarily designed for the supercar, but the supercar works well here. So I think some really good opportunities for overtaking, more of a traditional circuit. And I think, as we've seen the last few races, just going to be another round of great racing in the V8 Vets.
I've been David Haynes, he's been Brock Cadday, Daniel Yeaman in the production, and you'll see all of that next week here on SimSpeed TV, with thanks to RaceKraft Simulations, primary partner of V8 Vets, and all of these supporters: Logitech G, Nova Sim Sports, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, LGC Images, Chubby Buns Burgers, and SudSpeed. We'll see you in a week's time at Donington.